part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Worldwide. You're listening to The Krypton Report.
Good. So I'm watching Shazam 1 right now with the kids, and just an interesting fact is that in the film, Freddy says, Billy, you're 14. Okay. In Shazam 2, they state that it's been 2 years. In real life, it's been 4. And yet, Billy is going to turn 18. So someone forgot a line in editing to alter to make it more in the timeline. Just throwing that out there. So, as he shares the powers, they split, and everyone has everything, but it seems like other aspects of the powers manifest more in the other members of the Shazam family. It also, we got a good debate based on, there's the idea that Black Adam was the first champion that went bad, and that he draws his powers from different deities. So when the wizard drew powers from other deities to make his second champion, or is Black Adam technically sharing the same power as the other member of the Shazams? Because there are 7 wizards, 7 thrones. So is, Black Adam the lost member of the Shazam family? And I go back to the deleted scene that was amazing, that I really loved in Shazam. There was 2 deleted scenes from the first Shazam that I really loved. One was them in the Rock of Eternity all sitting on their throne and realizing there's a missing seat, or there's an extra seat and a missing, wizard, so to speak. And the other, of course, had the kids leaving the house at the end saying Shazam. I do like to open the discussion up about The Rock. I really like Dwayne Johnson, what he does, but I've seen a lot of chatter about how he's been very protective of his Black Adam character, thus limiting even Shazam. In that film, it was released that Shazam, though they wanted to have Hawkman come to recruit Shazam for the Justice Society, which would have been awesome. But Black Adam didn't want any Black Adam characters. I said Black Adam. The Rock didn't want any Black Adam characters to appear in the Shazam. He didn't want to hold off. He didn't want Shazam and Black Adam to meet. And I think, a lot of that can be ego, attesting to he sees Black Adam as a bigger character, and he wants to take this lower character and raise it up through his own status and make him something more. That's why he wanted to pit Black Adam against Superman, which there's credence for that in the comics. But it is not the big thing. And, it's hard to do Black Adam and not have it tied to Shazam. I mean, he says Shazam in his film. The power is the same. It comes from the same way. There's no way of, not having them connect. The wizard is in the film, and that was a big thing that I was glad to see. So and Black Adam is alluded to in the first Shazam film, like he was supposed to be part of the film. And I think the film was stronger for not having him. And if you heard my pitch, I think the best thing to do would be to tie Black Adam into a third film with Shazam, and both of them, pull a strong film, a strong story, and kind of do their thing together and use it as a sequel for both films. But anyways, just my thoughts.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the Man of Tomorrow, and with me, as always, Mr. James freaking Cole, the Superman of Red, the Man of Steel himself. What's up, bearded buddy?
What's going on,
Jack?
Cracking. Yeah.
We're catching up because if you guys have checked out our previous episode, James lost power because of the storms. We had power flickering. Brian, who lives like 10 minutes from me, their power went out. He had to His wife's power went out at work. It was a rough evening for some people. So
Yeah. And then your wife was sick, and before that, I was on
and then
call.
I actually had to take Sayla to the doctor today because she has an ear infection, and she was up like half the night last night with me, of course, because Jania took medicine to help her sleep. And if anyone knows about Sayla being sick, nobody's sleeping. One parent just looks at the other one and just cries and says, "I love you." But hey, we got some cool stuff to go over. We're going to jump into some of the news, stuff that we hadn't covered last time, because not a whole lot, but just a couple of little beats here. But we got our first looks at Lady Gaga. That's AKA Lady Gaga. That's a reference to how it was pronounced on. If anyone watched Troll Hunter, they would know.
You recommended it. I have
is
not
addictive.
watched it.
I've watched the whole thing like twice, and then little bits here and there. But our first looks at her as more of a traditional Harley, and it looks cool. You know, it looks like a Harley. You know, it looks fitting for this Joker. It's just her in a light white makeup. You know, some black around her eyes, with streaks, a red jacket, a black and white diamond shirt, black diamond stockings, and a black miniskirt, being escorted by police. So, I mean, it works for the Joker. It looks like, you know, kind of that cheap. It looks almost like that kind of cosplay when you don't really know what to do, so you just grab shit from home and you just throw it all together. And like, I'm Harley Quinn. And everyone's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean it looks like Harley Quinn. You know, I mean, I know that Lady Gaga is a pretty damn good actress.
Yeah, I think she's gonna do great. So,
yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we get. I'm very interested to see how a sequel to that movie is going to work.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. And then we got a picture of her standing on the classic stairs where we, you know, the made Joker infamous last time. So, yay. And like I said, she looks great. I look forward to it. We'll revisit that movie next year when we get there.
I did see a new image they did where they had like a picture of her kind of looking back over her shoulder on that same set of stairs. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
And let's see, the other news part is My Adventures with Superman, the animated series that was announced, almost 3 years ago? 2 years ago at least? I'd say at least two.
At least two.
Will is still coming, but this time it's now picked up by Cartoon Network's Adult Swim. How do you feel about that?
So, I mean, the biggest thing I feel about it is being on Adult Swim means it's not going to have as many eyes on it as it could potentially have. But being on Adult Swim does not necessarily mean that it's going to be a mature cartoon either. Adult Swim has in the past, I know that they have more recently probably pushed that envelope, but I know in the past it has been things, Adult Swim has been things that ranged from, you know, just a regular anime type stuff that you could see during the day, as well as some of their other mature flavorings.
Well, I always loved back when they used to do, you know, Midnight Run and Toonami. You know, they had Thundercats and Gundam Wing, and
I used to watch Gundam Wing.
You know, so I'm just, it kind of just bums me out because in a breath I'm like, you know, if it's going to be, if we're looking at this being on like Cartoon Network, it's not going to, and I hate the way Cartoon Network does its shows. It's going to be on Adult Swim. It means it's going to be late. It means it might not be streaming anywhere right away. Is it going to be something that I can watch with my kids? Because it's a Superman cartoon. Like, I don't want mature Superman cartoon, you know? So it's very weird that it's on Adult Swim.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't want it, because I want, you know, I want to have things that I can watch by myself, and I would like to have things that I can watch with my kids.
My problem,
we have things that we could watch with our kids, really great things, but we also would like some new, up to date.
I mean, there's a lot of things we get, like Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn, you know, that are things that we can watch by ourselves. But it's Superman, and I want to watch something new Superman because, you know, a lot of times with kids, they don't like to go backwards. They always like what's new. So even though Batman, like Batman the Animated Series, our kids will watch, but whatever's new is more exciting. And they've watched Batwheels, but it didn't really hook them that much. Because they're a little older for the demographic, you know. But there's just nothing DC's putting out for kids. Like that, I mean, Teen Titans Go is forever going, but you know, and that kind of is hit and miss. And I guess they stopped Superhero Girls, like, and I bought that for Sayla.
Oh well, that's
because I haven't seen a new one in forever, and it's so hard sometimes to keep up with when cartoons are coming out, what's new, you know. And then, but we had the Batman Caped Crusader. It's going to be a little bit more, probably more serious TV show too. And I hope that it does really well because we saw what happened with Beware the Batman, you know, when they tried to do something too different. So I just want to, you know, something with these characters that I can enjoy, that my kids can watch and enjoy too. But that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. So.
Okay, Jenny.
Someone heard like this movie where they called somebody Bubba. It's like, what's up, Bubba? Like, you know, it's, and I'm like, how he keeps saying it, and all I can think is, I gotta find Bubba. We watched that.
You know, I came home the other day to Jamie watching that, and I was like, oh, good
nice.
shit. Like, sorry. I was like, yeah, awesome. I was kind of surprised when I came in the door. That's why it came out that way.
We watched it last year. My teacher I was working with, he showed it to his class, and it was just, I haven't watched this forever. And I was like, yeah, it's a good movie. Man, this is kind of unbelievable. But anyways, speaking of unbelievable, oh, we got something awesome today. Didn't we, James?
We did.
And what's funny is I saw this trailer and I shared it with you guys, and I'm pretty sure what happened was they released it too soon. Because what happened was I watched this and then I took a nap because I took Sayla to the doctor today for an ear infection. And then when I woke up is when I saw the comments like, hey, it's not working anymore. And then I looked and they had just reposted like 40 minutes ago on social media, on the websites and on YouTube. And what are we talking about? The first trailer for Blue Beetle. Jaime Reyes. And I watched it, and then I waited till Solomon got home and showed Jania and the kids. And Jania's like, that looks fun. That looks good.
Same. I mean, same. I thought it looked really fun. I thought it looked really good. You know, just the teaser for the trailer from the teaser that came out yesterday for it, when it shows him outside of the atmosphere, when it shows him in space looking over the planet, just when that shot came up and the shot of the suit and everything, I was like, ooh, that looks really good. And then seeing the trailer here today looks very fun. The action looks like it's probably going to be pretty great.
Yeah.
The effects
suit
look
looks
awesome. The suit
it looks
is
so
spot
good.
on. Oh, so good. I mean, it looks so good behind the scenes. So to actually kind of see it in motion is amazing. Like, it looks fantastic. And then we get some of the Scarab talking
Yes, we
to
do.
Jaime.
Yeah.
The heads-up display.
Yes.
Did you see that? That I don't know what that view that it has, the way it looks, and then the blue and like gold pieces that move around and kind of like target and all that kind of stuff.
I love when we hear the Scarab, like whatever you can imagine, I can create.
And then he creates like this big anime sword. Yeah, that looked awesome.
So the movie feels it's going to do very well and has that fun flavor of what I describe. It's a mixture of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or just The Amazing Spider-Man with, like, when you see Cord Industries, kind of remind me a little bit of Oscorp. Throw in Spider-Man Homecoming with the family dynamic of the Shazam family, with the Foster family. And I feel like that's kind of where we're going to be at. So I think it's going to be a great, great time. And I hope this is more of the family superhero movie that we all need right now. Because I remember, was it 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago when they were talking. They hadn't started filming yet, and they were talking with the directors. And they were talking about really bringing home the vibe of a Latino family. That was something they wanted to dial in, is really having the audience feel the nature of a Latino family. So I am all about family. So I am in.
All about
dude, that
family.
If nothing else,
I love that pulling. I love that pull. Very, very recent, very modern.
If that movie has done nothing, it has given us, the four of us as a family, a new catchphrase, and see how many times we can just end a sentence with, "What is it about, kids? Family." It's all about family. So I'm on board. Did you catch? I watched the trailer a couple times. You do see like Cord Industries he's walking into. It's really fast, and you do see a scene later where they're like in a lab, and we see the old classic Blue Beetle suit in the background.
Okay, I haven't seen the suit. The things I did see Cord Industries. I saw the Scarab, the vehicle.
Yep.
The flying Blue Beetle, the flying blue Scarab that Ted Cord used.
So I'm wondering if Ted Cord's going to appear. He has to be mentioned in some aspect.
Yeah. He has to be mentioned in some aspect, but also there is a very popular kind of story where Ted Cord, it's not all the time, but Ted Cord is dead. So Jaime does not get to know his predecessor. He's a protege. He's a second generation character.
It would be kind of cool if they did something where he interacts with Ted Cord through like video journals that Ted Cord made. So he kind of gets to understand about the legacy of of Blue Beetle, where the Scarab may have come from. But it's all through these like journals. So we kind of get Ted Cord, but get that same story you're talking about where he's not there. He's not in person. That could be something cool.
It would be great. I think it would be a good story to tell that way, but it would also be fantastic to have Ted Cord alive. I mean, we got teased Ted Cord for years in the Arrowverse and never got that paid off.
Yeah. That's because they wouldn't let us. Because we all, I mean, maybe not everyone knows, Brandon Routh was cast to be Ted Kord, but they wouldn't let him be, so they changed it to Ray Palmer. So, yeah.
I mean, that was good. He was great as Ray Palmer, but I think he would have been even better as Ted Kord. As Blue Beetle, less of the shrinking
More.
animation
Just more
and everything.
kicking butt.
Yep. Kicking butt and using his brain. I think people would have gone for that.
But anyways,
because the Atom got expensive, I think, for them.
That's why we're gonna get rid of this guy. Just make his suit cooler, and he just wears a suit. What do you call it? So in August, when this is going to come out, we will be touching base a little bit more with some Blue Beetle. We will revisit an episode of, what do you call it? What is that other show we loved? Young Justice. That's what it was.
Yeah, Young Justice season 2.
Yeah, we're going to record. We're going to revisit an episode of that, and we're going to revisit Smallville episode Booster, which introduces a Jaime Blue Beetle. So that'll be fun to just kind of see where the character's gone, and we'll do a little bit about that because I'm excited.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even really get into the trailer even more. I mean, there was.
It starts. It starts where you see him it looks like he's at this pool. They're like, Mr. Reyes, and he turns around.
Yeah, I like the way it opened.
And they're like, "You're gonna clean this?" And we find out he's just like a bellboy at this hotel place, and
yeah, like he works at a resort or something.
And they're like, couldn't you get him a job? And it goes, we see his family. George Lopez is there as a member of the family. Can't figure out if that was his dad or not, but George Lopez is there. And
I mean, I love George Lopez.
I just like that we get a big drop to Big Belly Burger because that's the only fast food burger joint that exists in the DC world. They're all about just if you want coffee, it's CC Jitters. If you want a burger, it's Big Belly Burger. There is no other place to eat.
Yeah.
In the real world, we have a gajillion burger places, but in DC's world, there's only one. Nobody ever thought we could do this better. But, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, we get a Batman name drop.
Batman's a fascist.
Yeah. Which was hilarious.
And it was cool. It was fun.
Let's see what else. Yeah, the action. I seen Susan Sarandon in there. She's clearly going to be some sort of
because she says the scarab is mine.
Yeah. And then it looked like there was some other guy in there who's probably a villain of some sort.
The part that I really liked is when we see Jaime put up a shield and it cuts through a bus and his face is he's
yeah.
I'm so sorry. He's looking around wow, and you just see the people looking at him angerful, and he's just I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. We see that that first time the scarab connects to him and it grows and builds the suit around him is pretty intense.
Yeah, it almost looks terrifying.
He's oh, it looks like it's gonna like me. He's holding the scarab in his hand and just
Yeah. It does. It looks terrifying right there. It was a really fun trailer. It was really awesome.
I have no.
It's funny. I just watched it, and now I'm kind of like blanking on all the things I was like.
There
Yeah,
was a
that's
lot of
so
quick
cool.
cuts of just like you said, Blue Beetle in space. We see the Scarab do this, and then we see like him kick this dude in a tunnel like really awesomely. It's very much
Yeah.
that jaw dropping first experience. Like, this is going to be amazing, guys. Brace yourselves.
Yeah, you can see why they moved it from HBO Max to a theater
As
film.
it should be.
Yeah, I think it did a really good job. I think they made the right choice.
I think
The cast looks really
it's going to
great.
be nice to see.
I don't have any context. I've never watched Cobra Kai yet, so I don't have any context on the actor.
I am with you because everyone's like, you should watch Cobra Kai, and I'm like, okay, I got too many things to get through. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, I do, and I do want to see that. I do have too many things to get through, but I do want to see that. I've wanted to see it for a long time. I grew up watching The Karate Kid.
I will see Cobra Kai at one point. I will. I'll get there one day. I got,
Yeah, that's kind of the good thing about it being on Netflix, really, That's where it's going to be. Like, you don't have to hunt for it.
There. And he's like, we're cutting crap.
Yeah, that's true.
Some stuff I get. Like, I'm so glad we're trying to bury that horrible Aquaman cartoon ever existed. And they're like, yeah, let's just forget this thing was real.
Yeah, I never even finished it.
I think 10 minutes in the first episode with the kids because they were curious, and then they wandered away. And I was like, done.
Yep. Like, if it can't even keep their attention.
All right. So now we're going to segue and talk about some other cool stuff. We're going to talk about Legion of Superheroes, Episode 6, Who Am I? And James, if I come up to you and I just said, who am I? What would your response be?
You're Superman Blue?
I mean, that would work. I would take that. But anytime Jania says,
Mr. Mother.
anytime Jania be like, who am I? I'll be like, I'll just yell 24601. It's from Les Mis.
Is that your prison number?
In Les Mis, that's Jean Valjean's prison number. And he does a whole song. Gotcha. Who am I? And at the very end of it, as he's singing, he sings his prison number and everything. It's a great scene in the musical and everything. And just anytime Jania will say like, "Who am I?" I'm like 24601. She'll like, "Shut up, Tyler."
See, now what you have to do is like learn your marriage license number. So whenever she says that, you can just quote that to her.
Ooh, that's a good one. So the description of this episode is Chameleon Boy infiltrates Imperious's ranks by something goes horribly wrong. And this had an 8.0 on IMDb rating. Basically, they are trying to train Chameleon Boy to go in undercover as Persuader. And what they realize is Chameleon Boy can't hold the personality of Persuader. So Brainy puts a chip in his brain that's going to make him basically be Persuader and not know that he's really Chameleon Boy. And of course things go bad. Of course they do. Why would they ever go good, James?
You got me. I mean, if there wasn't conflict, we wouldn't have a story.
So,
maybe that's why.
James is smart, people. Okay.
Yeah. Probably say I'm more of a buzzkill.
Oh, I don't know why I'm saying but it's still cool. Anyways, James is cool. So that happened, and we're going to get into the episode. So just talk freely.
Well, yeah, it was kind of interesting. Like they make him, they like replace his mind overwrite his mind. I don't want to say replace it, but it almost seems that way. But they make him think that he is Persuader. So like he acts like he can't maintain that like level of hatred and everything, like, so he can't pull it off. So by making him think that he is the Persuader, like, he shows up. And there was a little point there where I was like, wait, what are they doing? Because I wasn't sure like whose mind they were in. It's kind of cool how the real Persuader showed up.
So later, the real Persuader gets out of prison.
That he does.
And he shows up and basically...
I don't see how he got out of prison, though.
Right.
Like, it's the Persuader.
I'm like, there's got to be something else that happened. But Superman X was back in this episode, so that was nice. And so, you know, they end up having... What I thought was, they end up fighting Chameleon Boy because he doesn't realize that he's actually there. And when they're fighting Chameleon Boy, Brainy pulls this special gun thing that's supposed to, you know, destroy the chip in his brain. And of course, the gun is damaged, so they can't bring Cam back. Chameleon Boy, so they have to bring him back to the ship, where basically they try to, you know, change him back, but it doesn't work. He's Chameleon Boy, but he still thinks he's Persuader. And Superman is very PO'd. He picks up Brainy. He is angry. And where it gets really trippy, okay, is there's a scene where they're bringing Cam back, and there's a memory with Superman that Superman doesn't remember. And what happens is...
Yeah, that part confused me.
They did the same thing. So basically, when they found out that they sent Chameleon Boy as Persuader, they sent Ron Carr as Superman. Superman was caught during the battle. So Ron Carr thinks he's Superman, and then in that moment right there, Ron Carr snaps out of it, realizes he's Ron Carr, that he's not really Superman because of a memory that Chameleon Boy has that he doesn't. It was a little trippy. But what we learned is by being Superman, it actually brought out something in Ron Carr to actually help. So we find out that Imperiax is attacking Durla with his new massive multi-layered rockets. And Ron Carr actually goes and helps, and he ends up being good and saving the last few missiles and stopping them, and then he flies off into space on his own. And they have a conversation about all of us possessing both good and bad, and who wins out, and it's just
yeah, because Ron Carr was supposed to be working with Imperiax, and like him, like essentially doing the same thing to become Superman is kind of what they like credit him for helping out.
And
at the end is just him trying to be Superman.
And at the end, Superman says, "Who we are is simple, a matter of believing who we can be." It's pretty interesting. So, who am I, James? Superman. It's like, and who are you, James?
I don't know who I am.
Well,
who am I, Tyler?
You are Superman, James. Never forget it.
Never.
But it was good. Like, this has been a weird season because I feel like there's an overarching story, but there's some of these really powerful just one-offs where
yeah, they're very episodic very episodic, but like there's the looming presence of Imperiax.
And we're not focusing on.
There's still like character.
Yeah,
episodes.
like we're picking these interesting characters to work with, and like there was no Sun Boy, so that was a little depressing. We're making our way through. And yeah. My question was, how is Timberwolf breathing in space? Okay, like all the Legion, are we just gonna go flight ring aura power?
I mean, it's the only explanation, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's how I'm gonna have to super science the thing and say, yeah, sure. Because I'm sitting there watching Timberwolf,
I was gonna say it's 31st century super science.
I'm watching Timberwolf, and I'm like, bro, how you breathing in space? I'm like, how is this happening?
Yeah, some of them don't seem like they should be.
Because I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. But like you just said, it's the 31st century. They have a Legion ring. That thing they didn't give Karate Kid. They should have. Still makes me mad.
But Nemesis Boy did his laundry.
Nemesis Boy. Or was it Nemesis? Was it Nemesis Boy or Lad? I can't remember. Like I said, it's either Lad.
I think
it's
it
either
was
boy, Lad, or Kid on everything. You're just like, all right, we're just going to Nemesis Boy, Nemesis Lad. Okay, got it. That's what we do here. But yeah, I'm really enjoying season 2. What about you? I'm enjoying it more than season 1.
I am as well.
I am enjoying it more than season 1. I can say
there were some really good episodes in season 1. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, there's some really good episodes in season 1, but also I think that they're doing some really great character things this season.
Yeah.
Some really good character episodes this season.
And it kind of sucks that it's, it's like I'm enjoying this a lot more to where I would revisit this and it's like this is the last season of it. So anyways,
I'm looking forward to seeing where we go with it, how they wrap up the Imperiex storyline.
They're like, we ran out of time. We didn't wrap it up. We left it on a cliffhanger. Sorry, guys.
Okay, Wolverine and the X-Men.
I forgot about that.
Oh, dude, that pissed me off because that was such a good freaking cartoon. And they ended off on that cliffhanger and that was it. Like, no more.
I totally forgot about that.
I just pissed you off.
It's frustrating. I watched that. That was one of those cartoons that I watched at Blockbuster when we got the DVDs in, and I would just turn them on in the background. And we would just watch whatever, we just watched what was on the DVDs and stuff. So it was cool. And it always made me chuckle because they actually made Wolverine a tall person then. So.
Yeah, they modeled him after Hugh Jackman.
All right. Now it's time to, we got comics down the line, but we're going to talk about Superman and Lois. And this is season 3, episode 3, In Cold Blood. I don't know why I just did that. It was just funny. Lois and Chrissy pursue a new lead in the Mannheim investigation against Clark's wishes. Jonathan, Jordan, and Nat attempt at a kind gesture is complicated by an unexpected obstacle. Lana, Sarah, and Kyle adjust to their new normal. It's a really kind of horrible explanation for what this episode is. But that's the summary that was given. And I will say this about this episode. Every time I see Mannheim, they just say Mannheim, I just think Mannheim Steamroller. Or whatever, so I'm just like, but this, okay, kicking this episode off, we're going to try to go by characters. This episode had the biggest, they blew their budget at this opening.
Yeah. Well, this opening is like the big scene from the trailers. and the TV spots.
Yeah, the one that everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, what is it?" It's
Yeah, what's happening to Lois? You know, what's going on?
and I told Jania, I was like, "It's a dream." I'm like, "It has to be a dream." And
well, especially the way we opened up with it in this episode, it kind of confirmed that. I wasn't sure if that was going to be an issue going forward with the, what happens this season, what we're going to experience. But then,
it's
the way it opened it in this, it was like, well,
it's
definitely.
Clark's manifestation of like his fear of not being able to save Lois. And what I find interesting, and I told Jania, is they show it kind of twice. He has it's a reoccurring dream he's having. And the first time he has it, it clearly shows that he saves her. The second time, he does not save her.
No, he doesn't. And I think that's really powerful. I like the idea, it's Clark experiencing the thought of loss and stuff, like he like the idea of him not being able to save somebody when with all the powers he has. The thing they did with Jonathan Kent in everything since Superman the movie.
Thanks a lot, Richard Donner.
Like, people just kind of like,
that's a good idea.
People who only know the movies expect him to be dead. But, us in the know, we'd love to see him still alive. That doesn't have to be the case because it's not the standard.
Yeah. Can I throw something out at you? And this is something I told Jania. This is an idea. It is not any of my means what I hope or want to happen. Okay? But I told this to Jania. I said, what if, say this is the last, this season, okay? They say that secretly we know that it's only going to go 2 more years, okay? 5 seasons, right? Or 4 seasons.
Right.
What if this season or the series ends with Lois dying of cancer? And it kind of bookends how the series started with the death of Martha and how the final episode's like the death of Lois.
Oh, I think that would be a horrible end to the show.
It would be.
Though.
I'm just saying, like, I was talking with Jania just about, or like, what if Lois died this season? And then the rest of the series is seeing Clark as a single father, raising 2 kids and trying to be Superman now. Like something that's never been done. Because, I mean, and I say this in a point of they know they only have maybe 1 or 2 seasons left, and they have this idea of, because this show has been very much about not being stuck in the same ruts that every other superhero drama tries to do, and being a little bit more fresh and being, for a Superman show, grounded, So I'm just saying, I'm not, like I said, it's not, before anyone yells at me and gets pissed off, it is not, nor is it what I want to happen. Okay? It is just an artistic idea. So, James is like, shut up, Tyler. Just shut your creative brain up before I put my foot in it.
Yes, sometimes Tyler has creative and bad ideas.
But that's the thing.
It's
okay.
Okay.
You just throw the idea. Like I said, it's a what if. And then you say,
yeah, that's how things work in like a writer room. They bounce them off each other like that. Sometimes ideas get thrown out that don't make it.
And then you say, Tyler, nah. And you're like, okay, moving on. No biggie. And then you're like, okay, cool. And we just keep on hanging out. So the episode continues with them making phone calls to Lucy and Sam and letting them know about Lois. And it's really cool because it's a very well done montage of Lois telling Lucy, Sam, John and Lana and them. So I thought that was a really good way of doing this. And of course, Sam Lane's brain goes exactly where mine is. What kind of Kryptonian tech we got going on here that can fix this? You know,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
blame him. You know, like, so I don't blame him at all where his head goes.
No. I mean, I expected somebody to say it, you know, and it makes perfect sense that Sam would straight up like, all right, well, what advanced technology you got?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that would be my first thought. Or we live in a world where we have superheroes and aliens. So the idea of this type of tech, not too far out. You're very much excused, bro.
No. Yeah, it was definitely expected, you know.
And then we get a wonderful scene of the boys making it. Lois is supposed to be going for her first chemo, and the boys make her all of her favorite breakfasts. They said that chemo will start to kill your taste buds and everything. And there's a very powerful scene later in this that Janine and I had a conversation about afterwards. And then after that, we get this great scene of what I was talking about last episode about Sarah, who's starting to become that annoying teenage girl. Because Lana's setting up home security. Can we just talk about John Irons' home security? Like, extreme home security. Like, I almost expect Ed 209 to drop from the ceiling if someone doesn't comply, because like they make it that it's Lana's face scan and Sarah's face scan, and then he says Sophie and Kyle, and Lana's like, not Kyle. Nope.
Yeah, Kyle doesn't.
So I just in the back of my mind pictured Kyle like the scene in RoboCop where the guy does not comply with Ed 209 and he glitches. But Sarah's all like pissed off about it, and
yeah, she gets upset about that right away.
Yeah, kids. What are you gonna do?
Kids.
What are you gonna do? But
yeah,
I do find I told Janias, I don't know if you had the way they're doing Chrissy's hair and makeup this season makes her look very bleached out for someone who looks like they have like her skin tone's darker, but it looks like she's wearing spray tan, if that makes sense. Like just the coloring of her hair and makeup, I feel like it's not really looking good on her. It makes her look more sickly all the time. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I'm like, what are they doing to you? Why did they make you look this way, Chrissy? And then, of course, Lois doesn't go to her cancer treatment. And Clark's there because she's out hunting the story with Chrissy because she doesn't trust Chrissy to take over. And I think what I also love is it just shows that even Superman can't keep his wife in check. So for all of us out there, there's hope. None of us can keep our wife in check. But once again, here we are in Metropolis, and they're starting to establish that Metropolis is not that far from Smallville.
Yes, that be the case.
So Chrissy and Lois go, and they find this little bit of blood. It's really interesting blood spatter residue on this lab that's supposed to be empty. What'd you think of that, James?
Well, expected. Expected them to find something.
So they're going to get that back to the DOD. And I was like, okay, cool.
I was going to say, whose blood is it, Tyler?
Well, we learn at the end that the blood that the people that we believe is Intergang, okay, it's Superman's blood. Ooh. So I'm like, okay, because
oh wow, they got the Dan Garrett and the Ted Cord there, don't they? Sweet.
Just now looking at the picture I sent you.
I am. I did not realize you had sent it to me already.
I'm on top of things, okay? I try to keep like pictures and stuff in my phone until after we record. So if you ever look at my most recent pictures and stuff, it's just a bunch of like comic book crap because I'm like holding on to it. But anyways, back to Clark and Sam. Sam is pissed at Clark for not having her go, and Sam's like, or Clark's like, it's
for not making her go.
And Clark's like, look, dude, I get it. And she's like, there'll always be another story. Oh, like he's going off, and Clark's like, oh, okay, man, like just back up. And then the kids, they're okay. So the kids' storyline, we'll get into this real quick. The 3 kids want to do something special for Lois as she goes on this battle for cancer. And they decide, Nat has an idea. She's going to give Lois a watch that she made for her mom. And then we meet Jordan's girlfriend again. You know, the one that was kind of just thrust upon us in season 2. That was awkward because the one just disappeared. Who he was covering up for selling XK. And anyways, so John Henry. God, I almost said something else. God, I'm tired. I'm just saying, I'm tired. I'm watching a lot of fun TV with jokes. Not what I was thinking, but anyways, he's mad because that was Nat's mom, not Lois, different person. And then he comes around and thinks it's a great gift to give to Lois because he realizes Lois is his friend. But what happens is Jonathan. I still get him confused, even though the dude's real name is Michael now. At least that's a little bit easier. Jonathan takes Candace home in his big old truck. Candace is... What's a proper term to use for this piece of gutter trash person?
Well, I mean, it's
her dad who looks like he's like, I'm going to marry my cousin. And, you know, just the stereotypical, like, horrible trash person that, you know, lives in a trailer. And not all people who live in trailers are like that. And, anyways, he steals Jonathan's truck. They ask Candace about it. She is like, how are you going to accuse my dad? Come to find out, yep, they were absolutely right. He did steal the truck, and the watch was inside. And when the kids go on a side quest, retrieve the truck in an awesome scene of Jordan and Natalie battling people. The watch isn't in there. And then right as I figure out the watch isn't in there, here comes Candace with the watch. And she's like, I found it in some of my dad's stuff.
He did steal it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he did.
Yep. I mean, yeah, it was a given. I mean, just the way he showed up, the way he looked at the door, the way he asked about the truck, the way he was drunk. Yeah, he definitely was the one to do that.
So, yeah. And that's pretty much then at the end when Clark is taking Lois. Once again, she's going to do her cancer treatment. The kids give her the gift. And that's pretty much the kid's story line. It was good. I like seeing... I'm waiting for when Nat and Jordan start going off on their own and doing stuff. Like, more consistently. You know?
Yeah.
So...
Well, I'm still like waiting and hoping they come around with Jonathan for something.
Yeah. Like, but maybe that's his thing, is to be the Jimmy Olsen of the group. Gee willikers, guys, what should we do? Shut up, Jonathan. So I don't know. I want to say I did find it quite endearing when we get the scene of Kyle and Sarah having dinner together, and it's just them like eating burgers on the back of his truck on the road somewhere.
Yeah. So I like this episode. We get the the follow up to Sarah lying to Lana. I love it how she's like, I'm not the only one who went to the party, da 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 da, but they're like, you're the only one who lied about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, why am I being punished? And then okay, so let's get to it. Sarah gets into it with her mom because she mentioned something about John Henry's security to her dad, and her dad's like, oh, he gets, starts flexing his big wick energy around and has to go and confront Lana about John Henry and everything. And then Lana talks to Sarah, and they get into an argument, and Sarah throws back in her face, well, maybe if you weren't so controlling, your husband wouldn't have had to cheat on you. And Lana smacks her. And then Lana feels bad.
Lana was completely in the right.
I was like, I'm not having that said to you like that is a very low blow when we've never been privileged as an audience to see the type of relationship that Kyle and Lana had during the time in which he cheated. Like, they've never gone into like a flashback scene or anything that really showed where they were in their marriage for us to ever feel like we are against Kyle. I mean, against Lana. We're always against Kyle. Okay. And so Sarah goes and then she sneaks out, and then, she goes to Kyle and gives him a hug, and she's crying right as Kyle's about to take Chrissy home and, do a little Eddie Money. Take me home tonight. I want to let you go till I see the light. Yeah. And then Kyle, of course, immediately forgets his booty call and goes over to his daughter. And Chrissy had the, I'm going to give it you some eyes, is what I am referring to them as on this podcast, and not what I actually said to Jania. She had the eyes.
Yes. Yeah, she did. I kind of like the pairings that they're separating off into. I like Chrissy and Kyle together. I like the chemistry between John and Lana.
Yeah. Of course, totally. I mean, I really like that. What I've been saying for a while was Pete Ross thing, but John's here and he's a good dude. And she would fit in well with the group. She's friends with everybody. Nat needs a mom.
She knows the secrets.
Nat needs a good mom. So, Lana's a great mom, even though her other daughter is constantly missing.
I know, right? Like, we never see Sophie.
Who? Oh, yeah. So that's those people. Pretty much. We're getting to the close. What about John watching the video, like trying to learn how I'm still going with onomatopoeia, its powers work, where it's like this like thing. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I like the visual from the analyzing of the powers. It was very interesting. It was very cool looking.
I thought that was neat. And then of course, we have the big part is Lois is at her second chemo appointment, trying to talk to Chrissy, and then she just ends up leaving because Clark went to help some people in Nepal. Or was that the first time he had to leave?
No, the first
He was meeting her
time
there.
she doesn't go, and he's there waiting for her. And then the second time, he's there
It's a
with
flood in
her,
Nepal.
and he goes to Nepal. He goes with her, and then she tells him to go to Nepal, that she's not going anywhere, and she gets up and walks
it's a
out.
mudslide. He says nothing. She knows that look, and she's like, "Go," and he's like, "Okay." And then she sits there. And I told you know what I did like is the jacket that Lois is wearing in that scene. Is the same jacket she wore some in season 1. I really like when they bring costuming back around and keep certain like jackets and stuff like that. We see reoccurring costuming.
Right.
So I always think that's cool. She sits there, she leaves, she meets Chrissy. Chrissy Chloe, that's what I kind of call her in my head.
Chrissy
She's
Chloe.
like, my name is Chrissy, but my nickname was Chloe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
if it hadn't been,
I would say maybe a few, maybe a handful of
this
years
had been
ago.
made before the next thing. So we
Yeah.
learned that there's a freezer that is built specifically to keep out the signal from the LTE or whatever to call Superman.
Yeah, the emergency device.
I still don't know why they just don't make it into the Signal Watch, man. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, they could
it's a smartwatch on it, has a special app called Superman. Beep, beep.
Right.
So Chrissy's like, he's not coming. So they're stuck in there while people are in the lab. Superman is doing his awesome high above, hanging out in space, listening to the world.
Which looks so good. Like this season, the suit, the special effects look so good. I mean, you know, we talk about the friggin' dream that he had.
I'm glad that I wish the symbol popped a little bit more. But
it would if they didn't have the design. You know, it's got the design of
right.
the fabric.
Brian and I were talking about this. Yes, if it wasn't looked like it's 3D, but it looks like the fabric of the costume. Yep.
Yeah.
And then eventually, the bad guys open it up. The signal comes on. Superman flies in. Busts in. It's amazing. Drops on this, he has that look on his face, which is just epic. And he runs through them, taking them all out.
Yeah, I love that too. I thought that was awesome. Like, that's Superman's crowd control. Just moves so fast, so quickly that everybody just flies off to the side.
I do think, okay, this is the one part of the episode that kind of frustrates me. Yeah, Superman's doing great. Bad guy has these kryptonite cannon gloves, that he's shooting him with. And I kind of wish...
Yeah, which was a very intergang thing.
And, John Henry shows up and saves him, which is awesome because I like Steel, which I'm still waiting for him to get an update to his suit, some sort of super symbol, and a cape, and actually go by the moniker of Steel in this season. Okay?
Yeah.
It's the third season.
Yeah, we get... we're getting Steelworks coming out in June, I think. He's getting his own book.
So I feel like they could make a few things to the costume change, because I know that sometimes costuming can be expensive to do a big costume change. I get it. But do a little bit, maybe a bit of a different helmet and a little bit few other things on his suit. Give him even if you just put a patch thing, just on one side or something of the symbol, and he actually starts to go by the name Steel, and give him a cape. But I feel like Superman,
I would love the cape, but I don't think that's 100% necessary for television show, but I would love more of a like a shield.
Yeah, the shield.
Like if he had a shield on his thing, on his suit, and maybe a little more of a human-looking face.
just some slight modifications is all I'm asking.
Yeah,
but I don't want Superman always needing to be rescued. Like, he's Superman, let him fight. It's the same issue I've had with the Flash when they started giving Team Flash, where Barry runs in, does stuff, and then has to have the team help him. Like, no, let the hero be the hero. Let him do some stuff. Okay, let Superman find a way to beat a dude shooting him with kryptonite. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Then we have an awesome, I love the bro scenes of them, so I can't get mad. But then we have probably the best scene of the episode is when Lois and Clark are arguing about her not going, how she put Chrissy in danger, how she went in there, and how Lois feels because she knows if she does the chemo, how people are going to look at her like she's fragile, she's sick, she's not. And she talks about, I'm the one whose body is going to be pumped full of just toxic drugs. I'm the one who might lose my hair, my taste buds, my energy. Me. I'm reading it because I got the captions up. And he says, the best way to get through this as a team. That means you and me, Lois. And like, it just caused me and Janine to sit down and just kind of talk. Like, if we were in that position, like how much of like just you as a person gets destroyed trying to kill the cancer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the case. A lot of people die from the chemo because it weakens them so.
And then we do see they're just that they have all that blood that was in that warehouse is all we can presume is just replication of Clark's blood. Somehow they have Clark's blood, and that's what's keeping the Atomic Man alive.
Somehow they have Clark's blood, and somehow they were able to destroy it too.
Yeah. So
with a bomb.
So we're interested in where this season's going to go.
Yeah. Well, we've seen other things in the past with Clark's blood being able to do things and help people.
You mean the very, very Jesus scene in Smallville season 9.
Well, I mean, there was that. There was the liver disease from season 4.
Oh, from Lionel? Yeah.
From Lionel.
But that was Superman and Lois.
So, I mean, it's not an original take on it, but this show has been doing very good things with interesting ideas, with lots of interesting ideas. I mean, they're doing a pretty good job with this show as what they had done previously with Krypton, like we spoke about on the last episode. How it's kind of the greatest hits, the best of the such a good amalgam for so many things, Superman, and done
Amen,
well,
brother. Amen. All right, so now it's comic time. We got a couple comics on the docket today. James, which one do you want to start with?
Oh, which one do I want to start with? I guess we could probably. Well, do you want to start with Dark Knights of Steel or end with Dark Knights?
End with Dark Knights.
Because we've been doing it
end
for
with
so
Dark
long.
Knights of Steel, so I can rant about how much I'm upset about how long this is taking.
Yes, sir. I agree on that.
It's
entirely.
no doomsday clock, but it's taking too long.
Yeah, definitely no doomsday clock. There was a decent break there in the middle.
So let's do Superman 2 first.
Alrighty. That sounds good. Superman action.
All right. So Superman 2 says Dawn of DC, Superman, issue 2. When Marilyn Moonlight strikes. So we open our book here, and it's Superman being attacked by the gajillion parasites. Mine. Yeah. Excuse me. And he busts out, and he's flying away, and there are just dozens of clones.
I like how he can't fly, really. He's like leaping up the side of the building, like crunching into the side of the building with his hands.
And then when you see, like, it looks like red solar energy. Is that what you took it as?
I think that's his eyes.
Just the way it's drawn. Okay, yeah, they flipped it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's like there's hundreds of parasites. It's like the more power he absorbs, the more he replicates.
All right, so we turn the page, and now we're meeting like this secret order of mad scientists. He says, I've never agreed to that name. It's demeaning. How about homicidal geniuses? So we have Graft, Dr. Farm. That's how I put it.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's where we see that they're cutting up Bizarro. So it's very creepy, you know. We have this guy in a Hawaiian shirt, two white, pale, orc-looking twins. That's typical mad scientist with a like big brain head, and then a very feminine-looking dude who looks like Davey Havoc, no shirt on and Frankenfurter gloves, sitting in a wheelchair. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was like, this is a weird looking group of people.
It is. And then we
I'm not 100% sold in these first two issues on the run of Superman here.
I like it, but I'm not like, I don't know. I'm interested. I'm interested. I'm not against it. It's just this group is a cool idea. Let's see where it goes. I like the idea of Luthor Corp now being Super Corp. We have Mercy Graves who shows up right here and starts blasting them away with her arm. And you know, they're trying to figure out what to do. And Luthor is monitoring stuff on his own. And it's pretty funny because Luthor has power, and Livewire is talking about who do I got to influence to get a cell phone call or something. If I don't post soon, the Livewire fan base will get worried. And Lex keeps talking to Superman, trying to get him to come to him. We see the kids, we see Colin Keenan, we see Supergirl and John, we see even John Henry and Natalie, and we find out that they can't find Lois, and Superman flies with what power he has left to his apartment, and that's where we meet the name Marilyn Moon Knight. What'd you think of Miss Moon Knight?
I consider this a warning shot. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I'm not sure. She kind of comes out of nowhere.
It was
in Daily Planet when he goes to look for her, when he goes to look for Lois. Then he sees some sort of like Old West type town when she like lights up, and her light recharged me. It was moonlight.
Yeah. And then we find out, okay, this is where it gets interesting. The last couple of pages, Lois comes running out, and she's basically turning into a parasite herself. And they're almost now like vampires. And she's like, I'm hungry. Come on, pal, just a snack. And we see Jimmy and other people coming. And he's x-raying them. And he says he's using his freeze breath. And he says to the group, the super family, oh no, Luthor was right. The parasites have evolved. They are in the air. And we see Superman starting to turn. And it says the next issue, Hunger of the Super Parasite. So, yeah, it's interesting. It is a $5 book that is just one story that I feel like it's a quick read because there's a lot of really good panels, but not a lot of meat to the writing.
Yeah, the art is really good. I did like this issue. Everything with Parasite and Luthor, and then the interesting thing about the moonlight charging him, not necessarily the character, but the moonlight charging him up. And then seeing the super family kind of do some crowd control work. So there are parts of it that I am enjoying, parts of it that I like. I'm just not sure about the evil, what they call themselves?
Evil Scientist Council?
Evil Council of Mad Scientists or whatever. I mean, I guess it's kind of overdue, really, you know? Lex would clearly have enemies. Good people and bad. So I'm hoping to see something with them. You know, something that piques my interest from them. Or maybe there's something with Parasite and the way his powers are evolving.
Yeah. Could be interesting. We'll just wait and see. All right, the next book. Let's do Action. Action 1053. No Escape from the Necro Hive.
Yeah, I was down on
All right,
this.
the first thing I noticed about...
Or down... Oh, excuse me. Down for this.
The first thing I noticed about this book when I open it is the pages. They feel like they're going back towards more of the newspaper feel. Do you feel that? Like it's not the glossy.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember if they did this in last Action Comics, but it's not really the glossy time. This feels more like that newspapery type feel of the paper.
Right.
It's interesting. I like it. You can do really cool paper mache with it compared to the glossy pages. But also, if they went back to newspaper type, straight up paper, it could make the price of comics could come down some and actually would go back to being more valuable. Because that paper doesn't hold like when they started making the higher end gloss paper and everything. Like that stuff holds form, but the deterioration. So anyways, we're talking about John Henry, Steelworks. He's talking. At the very beginning, he gets attacked by some of the unmade people. And
yes, some of John Corbin Metallo's unmade.
And we see how his suit is. I didn't realize, okay, I hadn't seen him transform in a while, that his suit was more like energy nanobots, I guess. As we see the steel suit form on him.
I mean, I don't know if it's like it. So the last time that I saw Steel create a suit was in New 52, and it was kind of a liquid metal.
Yeah, that was after he had more of like the one like the Metallo looking suit that it started with.
Yeah, so like I think it's maybe something along the lines of that. Maybe a nano machine that's kind of a liquid metal.
I'm telling you, man. I think liquid metal would be so much cooler than doing something like just nanobots.
Which I have to keep my eyes open for that Steel figure.
I know they haven't posted them. It's on sale yet. Usually McFarlane will post like now on sale. I really want to get that one, and then we're
right. Well, I got so many versions of Superman of the same.
It's like the Hush one they're
so,
putting out. They released once as a gold where like it was Hush Superman controlled by Ivy. Now they're releasing
it's angry.
And now they're releasing another Hush Superman, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't really look that much different, but I'm still going to buy it because I'm pathetic. Now,
right. Well, I say that saying I bought another figure, but I got Con-El because it's a different character.
Just like
like I want Steel because it's a different character. I need Supergirl from the Flash because it's a different character.
They're going to release the Project Superman from Flashpoint. That's still Superman, but that's a different Superman.
Yeah, that's a different
they would give
Superman.
Us some.
It's like if you get the Black Lantern.
Right, that one
Superman.
I still need. That one's on my. I don't have that one, but it's on my to buy list. Give us something like that.
McFarlane needs to make a Val-Zod.
We just need an episode called.
And I will buy that. I will pre-order that day one. And a Calvin Ellis. I have a Calvin Ellis, but there's an old line.
Yep. The old Mattel.
Yep, the old Mattel multiverse line before it went to the blue boxes.
I bought two figures from the blue boxes. I bought Kingdom Come Superman, which is an okay figure, and I bought Shazam from the movie because that was like the last movie figure that came out before the Switch.
And then they switched over to McFarlane.
Yeah. I'm making a list of what McFarlane needs. Blue Lantern, Saint Walker, and Tyler Hoechlin Superman.
He needs to make a Young Justice line and give me Superboy. Give us a Connor with the jeans and a t-shirt.
We need a giant Doomsday figure that's like 18 inches.
We need a giant Doomsday figure.
Tall. It needs to be as tall as the Swamp Thing I'm looking at here. So anyway, back to our comic book. After we go on our usual daily rant about McFarlane, the Super Family shows up and they start fighting, and we see, the very disturbing unmade, people. And Kara gets hit really hard with like an explosion. And we see it says the kryptonite's in her bloodstream. It's everywhere. She's not okay. Get her to Kellex fast. Tell him what happened. Keenan, one of these men is technically still alive. Get him to Star Labs. There might be something they can do. So it's
I like this. This is what we do. Risk our lives for one such as him. Risk our lives for those who would kill one as true as Steel or Supergirl. Superman says, always. This is because if he dies, Keenan, he can never make it right. If he dies, this is the best he will ever be.
Saving him now is how we save the world. And Keenan's like, I hope so. And then this is where Superman goes to visit Luthor in prison.
I'm still unclear as to when Luthor got to prison.
I thought we figured that out. I thought we did.
Did we?
There's too many Superman comics, but I thought it was after the events of right before the dawn of DC, when he came back from War World. But we see what John looks like right now, and he looks messed up. Like, he is horrific compared to how he was a few issues ago. And he's talking to his sister. We see them talking about the gun in his hand. And then we find out that the voice, we get described where his sister is, and we get a very creepy picture of where his sister is. Like, looks like she's hooked up. You know the scene in The Matrix where Keanu Reeves first wakes up and he's in his tube in his pod? It looks like that, but worse.
Yeah. Says she's someplace worse than she's ever been. A place she can't see the sun, sustained by wires and tubes and electric current, only aware of her continued existence by the pain she's in. It's a place where monsters are born. She knows she'll almost certainly never leave this hellish place, and she knows she's there because of you.
Dang.
It says, if you want Tracy to stay pretty with breath in her lungs and blood in her veins and all her soft squishy parts on the inside where they belong, kill Superman and his whole family. If you don't, I will rip your sister apart. And I'll use your hands to do it.
That's cold.
Yeah, which very much seems like... So I am kind of wondering, since this is the Unmade and everything from... this is the Unmade, the technology from Warworld. I wonder if this isn't chattel.
That would make
manipulating things.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
The next part is we're at the apartment in Metropolis, and we have a really good scene where Clark and Lois are leaving, and John asks his dad about going to the old place and playing Coney ball. And Superman's not picking up on it. And where's oh, pal, I would love that. I was afraid you'd gotten too big for it. Let's take a weekend and at the farm. We can show Otho and Oslo. Really wish they just give him
Otho and
that sounds
Oslo.
good. How to play too. And John's not picking up that he just wants to spend time with his dad. And I really like this part because one of the kids says, "Do you hate us?" Oslo says, "Do you hate us?" "No, why would I?" And he says, "My hearing has grown sharp. I hear through the walls now. Sometimes I wonder if I am hearing thoughts." He says, "I didn't know this cell had been yours, or these clothes, or these things." So the room, cell. "You are Superman's son, not we." And, John does a great explanation of just the puzzle box thing about how his dad made it for him, but now there exists more because of them. And he explains basically he finally understands what his parents lost. He's now experiencing that loss, about him being aged up and missing out on his childhood and everything. And now he's experiencing what his parents kind of felt. And it's very sad because he's coming back around to wishing he was young again. And just kind of being jealous of these two because they're going to experience his parents, and he's seeing the childhood that he missed. And then they see something on TV and they shout for Otho, and we see that the attack is coming from one of the super twins. And there she is. And it says, "Next issue, rematch."
Yeah, the interesting thing there is the Olgren's fire is the thing they were concerned with like driving the twin crazy, driving Otho crazy because he's the one who was chosen to be saved by it. Well, Superman chose him to save him. And she's the one who has this like blue flame almost, or something like that coming from her.
She took the fire.
Her eyes are glowing blue.
Or she possesses it also. But my thought is this is supposed to leave us in suspense, like she did it, but she's probably fighting whoever did do it.
Yeah. Well, she does look like she's getting upset about all of the Blue Earther stuff. They're supposed to be very they're supposed to be very volatile. Yeah. As any group of bigoted people are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of looks like she's being pushed. But also it's like, is it Olgrun's fire? Is she being driven crazy? Or is she is she just like fighting back against people who she believes maybe would try to kill her or hurt her, or just because she was from Warworld, because she's alien?
I don't know. So
I mean, she did grow up on Warworld, where everything was
horrible.
Yeah, everything was horrible. Everything was a fight to survive.
We will see. We will see. So that ends that chapter of action, and the next part picks up with Doombreaker, which I still think is not a wonderful name, but whatever. And Superman, he's at Lois and Superman's house. I love that this story takes place when it takes place. During that Superman and Lois part, with black costume, silver Superman, he punches Doombreaker and they're fighting. And they still can't find John. He's on the ship with the princess. The princess realizes he's Superman's son, so that makes him the equivalent of a prince. And my favorite part is this right here. It does? That's dope.
Right.
Because, of course, I say that, and Solomon and Sayla both say it. But basically, they figure out that Doombreaker came there because he's being drawn there because of peace of, Doombreaker. And at the end of it, he gets the piece that's supposed to make him Doombreaker permanent. And John trashes the ship, and now it's crashing to Earth. Yeah, that's pretty much it summed up.
Yeah. It's interesting to be getting Doombreaker, like he wants to become Doomsday permanently. Kind of bring Doomsday back in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had some interesting stories with him over the years. So, trying something new here.
And yeah, we will see. I still think Super Doomed was an awesome book that we're going to review sometime this year. That just never got the traction it really deserved. I hate it because I felt like it was a big event that they just rushed through, and they should have took their time and let that play out a little bit longer. But I thought that was an awesome story that we'll get to. And then we have the third, Power Girl in Head It Like a Hole Part 3. And John's there. What did you think of this story?
So I think this story is, kind of trying to bring Power Girl into the family. I've kind of liked the interactions. I like how John is getting through, like, to her in another way.
Yeah.
You know, he calls her cuz. She's very much adamant that she's not his cousin because she's from a different Earth. He does say that that she had asked to kind of be left alone, like not to be invited to super family things. This is kind of, you know, pointing out how she kind of has alienated herself in this story. And then we've got this evolving story of these psychic attacks, and they determine that they're coming for Power Girl. And they kind of give Power Girl a new name here. They call her Paige.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting and weird.
I mean, I liked how they got there with
just
it.
Trying to get rid of Karen because, you know, that's a derogatory.
It's Kara, Karen.
Derogatory term.
Yeah.
Karen.
Right. Well, I think it's also a little close to Kara. I think it's, you know, I think it's a good idea to give her a
Call
new
her
name.
Ren, man. Just drop it. Like, if we had to go through...
Like, because it's all a secret identity.
If we had to go through
know?
Rick Grayson, let's make her Ren. You know, that's kind of hip and cool. Ren.
But I don't know who Johnny
I'm
Sorrow
thinking, is that a new character? Because I thought it was going to be Psycho Pirate. It was like, finally, they pull off a mask and like curtains up. Johnny Sorrow takes the stage. To be continued in Power Girl Special.
What's her name?
So we're gonna have to...
I think what's her name? I'm not sure who the person is.
The other
that she's with. Omen. Omen, yeah, that's her name. She kind of sees something. She like figures out who this is, tries to wake her up, maybe stop them before this guy is released or something. Weird. But yeah, that's cool that Power Girl's gonna get a special.
So yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that one to go over.
Oh yeah, I am following this later on this month when Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, Connor's book comes out. I am gonna get that.
We'll review it next week. So we will go over it. Now it's time for Dark Knights of Steel, number 10 of 12. Dun dun dun. Finally, every time I go to my shop, I'm like, when's that coming back?
Well, seeing as DC kind of changed their website, and I can't kind of like find the comics as they come.
That has pissed me off so much. Used to it all.
So I did.
Go ahead.
Well, I did.
No, go for it.
Sorry. Go ahead. Well, I was going to say I did I did search new comic releases, and the first thing that came up was like now I gotta look at it. Either way, it has a filter, and so since all I do is pick up DC and Image comics, all I do is highlight those in the filter, and that's all it gives me. And you can go backwards and forwards a few weeks and check it out. League of Comic
Yep,
Geeks.
That's where I go, because I just Google what DC comic books are coming this week.
Yeah, I just put new comic releases, and yeah, I just go in there, and all I do is highlight the DC and the Image books, because I get the Spawn books. This way I know how many books I'm looking to get, each week. Like, I'm only grabbing 2 books this week.
Yep, because I used to always look at the DC app and was so pumped, or the website, and now all the website is about pumping up the app. What's new on the app?
Yeah, that is what they are doing. Which I check every day. It updates, or every Tuesday. and
Yeah, like I just read
when
the
I can.
Clayface One Bad Day. That was so good.
That's what you had said. I have it
It
downloaded.
is so good. So, all right, Dark Knights of Steel.
Dark Knights of Steel. 3 murdered monarchs, 3 angry, grieving armies, and a battlefield covered in the dead. We have a sword turned on Alfred by Wonder Woman. You defend a monster. Not everyone different is a monster. She says, move. Says, hey, angry Amazon lady, the Batman asked you to hold. We got Beast Boy as a dragon talking to Diana, which is really cool. Kal-El, this is a magical rope of truth. How do you have that, Kal-El? It doesn't matter. It's yours. Use it. And they use it on Alfred. John Jones. This is Martian Manhunter. They ask him. He says, Kal-El, I swear I'm loyal to you, your sister and your mother, and I could not love Bruce more were he my own son. Constantine, that's pretty definitive.
Yeah, Constantine. John.
Yeah. Reassess the situation. You suggest, Constantine, you were look where your suggestions have led us. And we get a battlefield shot. Like, lots of damage.
Yeah. And then we get... I thought this was cool. We have Poison Ivy show up. Right? Well, hold on.
Well, yeah, so they're discussing things. They're talking to each other. Your Majesty... Then Prince Jacob shows up. Prince Jacob was dead. What have you done, Constantine? Laura says, we clearly have much to discuss and more to mend, but let us attend to our wounded and our fallen. Your soldiers will be welcome in our city. And Waller is contentious at that. It's just, they will be welcome, General Waller. They will be fed and sheltered. And then I invite you to discuss the true enemies in our midst. We have Diana grieving over her mother, Hippolyta. And Zala calls her Your Majesty. And she says, not you. She says, please don't call me that, not you. She wants her to be the only person who doesn't see her as a queen. She wants her to see her as the love she is. She calls her Diana. And we have the questioning of John Jones. And this is where we have Poison Ivy arriving to sit with Diana, Laura, and Anissa.
All I'm going to say is this is a book that I can't wait for it to be done, to buy the hard copy trade and just give it to Jania to read, because I think she'll love it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fantastic book, and it's such an interesting Elseworlds
tale. We don't get too many that are really that good anymore.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And you know what? Some of the greatest ones in the last little over 10 years, Flashpoint, and a couple of them by Tom Taylor, Injustice, and Dark Knights of Steel here. So we get a history. We get a history of John Jones on Mars. How it was very peaceful. How there was a white Martian named Protex who marshaled all the whites to try and enslave the greens, believe them to be superior. I guess the whites were more powerful, but the greens were smarter. They created weapons, like bombs and things, and they destroyed their planet. They hid underground. They hid under the surface of the planet. And very sad here, Jordan, come here. John Jones' son. He says, mother. He says, no, your she's gone. And it turns into Protex. He snuck in as the mother and used his Martian heat vision and attacked the children.
That was interesting, Martian heat vision.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he used it to incinerate Hippolyta, too. Says, I could hear my son's thoughts as he died. He begged me to save him. I wanted to assure him. I wanted to lie to tell him he could go outside and play, but I couldn't hide my thoughts from him. Says, I buried my son in the dust of our former paradise, and I abandoned our once lush world, now turned into a red desert, and I came here. He says the Waynes knew who he was and told him to keep the secret because of the prophecy of a green man. Which obviously, I mean, that'll be taken right into full context there. He is the green man. They would try to kill him.
And and then basically, we have the queens with Poison Ivy representing the planet itself, what they should do. But my queens, we can forgive the actions born of misunderstanding and grief. Then Protex will have done the opposite. Our kingdoms can be united like never before. And Diana's like, I will find Protex. And then we get this. This was great.
Yeah.
This was... I'll let you tell it. It was...
Okay. So we've got Luther. We've seen Luther. He's been like Jokerized. He's had what has seemed to be a Green Lantern ring, or maybe it is a Green Lantern ring. But he says, "What now?" He says, "Now this age will still end. A new one will still be born. But you need not worry about what is to come. You will have no role in it." He says, "I don't understand. What are you saying? We can't allow so much power to be held by a man who believes inanimate objects speak to him." He says, "What?" And Protex reveals himself. He's been hiding invisibly and rips Luther's arm off.
And throws him.
And takes him and throws him to the ground to kill him. You were a tool for a time of subterfuge, Luther. That time has passed. And now we got Protex with a Green Lantern ring and multiple White Martians.
Whoa. What a book, man. What a book.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading Tom Taylor. I'm reading Dark Knights of Steel. I'm keeping up with Nightwing on
I think I'm
app,
1 month behind on Nightwing.
I'm reading Deceased. I have all the Deceased books.
I think I'm 1 month behind on Nightwing. I think. I'm not sure. I gotta check. I've been so locked into what do you call it? I've been so locked into reading just Flash books that certain things have gotten past me. So, all right. Well, that wraps up this week's episode of the Krypton Report. A lot to cover. We had to catch back up with. Always something awesome going on with DC, and we're glad to be here to talk about it.
Right. Well, on the app, there's
We will forever be talking about comics because of the app.
Oh yeah. With the app, there's just like it was before. It was Lazarus, so there was mostly just those books. So it's a time to read some other things. There hasn't been 20 books dropped a week for the last couple months.
It's nice to have fewer books each week so I can get caught up. But all right, that's us here. Take care, everybody, and remember, James is awesome.
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network. donation, $1 a month, you'll get extra special content that you don't get on the main show, like movie commentaries and whatever else comes out of our mouths. So check it out. We're going to press pause and hear a few words from our other podcasts on Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough Super Talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, the Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find all of our report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.